my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. I'm so glad you're here today. Well, today's video is our this or that video. And what that means is I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to give you two answers, a this or a that. And that gives you the opportunity to answer the questions. It has to do with yarn or crochet or crafts and sometimes me. Anywho, please do comment down in the notes underneath this video because I love to read your answers. It helps me on designing patterns and crafts and different things that we do on my YouTube channel. Colors you prefer and yarns and things like that. Today we're talking about carrying your yarn. Would you prefer to clip your yarn or carry it across or up? And what that has to do with is when you're changing different colors on a project, whether it be in the middle of a row, at the end of a row, or round, do you prefer to just go ahead and clip it and have to weave that in every row or every couple of rows? Or do you prefer to carry your yarn? All right, let me do a little demo so that you understand exactly what I'm referring to. I have a couple of swatches here. This one I just did some rows and I carried my yarn up the side instead of cutting it every 2 rows and have to weave that in. And the reason that it's important to do it this way is you're only using a small portion of yarn. If I wanted to weave this in, that would not be enough. You would need more like this amount to be able to weave that in securely. And so when you're doing something on rows like this, and you're just changing colors every couple of rows, you can carry your yarn up the side. And let me show you. Here's where we ended the 2 rows of the blue. And before we do our next chain 3, we bring back in our brown or our beige color there, and we chain 3 or however many you're going to need on that next row. And then we leave this attached and we just carry it up the side. If you're making, say, a scarf or a cowl or something, you'll come back in and stitch over those and those won't even be seen. Okay, and then I can skip that first one because the chain 3 counts as the first, and then just go ahead and stitch across the rows. That's one way of carrying your yarn up the side. See where we carried the beige, the blue, the beige, and of course this is where we brought in the blue, and so we carried it up the side. Now another time you're going to want to carry your yarn is when you're changing colors in the middle of a row. And this is a little bit different because you want to make sure that you always bring your yarn to the back of your row. All right, let me show you in a quick little demo on here. So I'm going to do my chain 3. I'm going to turn. I'll stitch those next 3 double crochets. But on this last one, I'm going to be bringing in my new color. All right, so I'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through the first 2. Then I'll grab that new color and bring that in. All right, so that gives me a finished double crochet in that color, but I've brought in my blue for my next color. While when you're doing color changes, it's up to you. Sometimes you can just drop that and bring it back in on your next color and you'll have a line across there. And I don't care for that, especially if there is a lot of changes like this one where we're going every 4 stitches. And so what I do is I'll go ahead and stitch over where I'm carrying my yarn. It gives you a much neater appearance. And the key to getting it to look nice is to make sure that doesn't droop but doesn't pull too much also. All right, so now I'm on the 4th one of this 4 double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. And then I'll bring up that next color. And then I would do the same thing here. This gives you nice crisp color changes. And also, let me show you the back of the yarn. It gives you neatness on the front and back of your yarn. Now, a lot of people don't like to carry their yarn. If you were to cut this for every color change, you would have a gazillion weave-ins. I know that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. There are a lot of projects where you're not going to want to carry your yarn. If you have like 6 or 8 rows, all of the same color, and then you bring in another color, that's too long of a piece of yarn to carry. So it's kind of up to you. I kind of think of it this way. If there's 2 or 3, then I'll carry my yarn. But when it gets to 4 of them, I'm not going to. I'm going to cut it so that it can be weaved in. And especially if there are lots of different colors, that's another reason that you might not want to carry your yarn. One of the things that are real important is when you're doing a hat like this one that we did a few weeks back. And I love this hat and I love how it worked up. But on the inside, we did carry our yarn. Let me find where we did that. On this section where we did a lot of color changes, we carried our yarn. And that way we have 2 of the orange, 2 of the green, and then the gray in here. We started with the gray and then we brought in our other colors. And then until we were finished with them, we left them in. And then after that, I weaved them in. And so now you have a little bit less of a mess on the inside of your hat than if you would have cut those every single row and weaved them in. But a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that, and they're more comfortable weaving those in. And that's okay too. This is one of those things where, I mean, there are no wrong answers. It's you do what works best for you and how you're more comfortable. This is just something that I do because it uses less yarn, because you have to leave longer tails in order to weave it in. And it also ends up being nice and neat on the inside. But maybe you're making a quilt or something, a large blanket that has a lot of color changes, and you don't want that showing on the other side. Then that would be something where you might want to cut those strands of yarn and weave those in. And so really it is a project by project sort of thing. Me personally, if at all possible, I'm going to carry my yarn because I think it makes it neater. But if I look at the project and I say, that's not going to be neater, then I won't. Okay, and so that's my answer. What is yours? Are you a clipper or a yarn carrier? Please do answer down in the comments, in the comment section underneath this video. Like I said, I love to read your answers, and we can learn from each other. Not just what you do, but why you do it. You know, we can learn from each other. And that's what the crochet community is all about. Learning and growing from each other. Well, thank you for being with me today. I'm looking forward to reading your answers. See you next time on This or That.